Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at something that has just exploded onto the scene, really, June 22, 2025. The U.S. launched this, well, unprecedented military action against Iran, directly against their nuclear sites.
Mm.
And the fallout was immediate and pretty severe. This isn't just another regional flare-up, is it? What makes this specific event so critical?
Mm.
How does it, change the calculus for a wider conflict? Are we closer to something bigger?
Yeah, I think what's really crucial to understand here is the nature of the strike itself. It's the first time, certainly in recent memory, maybe ever on this scale, that the U.S. military has directly hit Iran's core nuclear facilities. We're talking Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan,
Hmm.
and the tools used. B-2 Spirits, stealth bombers, dropping GBU-57s. Those are the massive ordnance penetrator.
Bunker busters.
Bunker busters.
Right.
Exactly. Plus Tomahawks, these aren't just, warning shots. The GBU-57 is designed specifically to get through heavily reinforced underground bunkers. It signals a clear intent to completely neutralize those sites, not just damage them. And President Trump's statement afterwards, saying enrichment capabilities were completely and fully obliterated. That really underlines the shift from deterrence to, well, preemptive destruction.
Completely and fully obliterated. That's incredibly strong language. And Iran's reaction, it was just as fast and forceful, wasn't it? What did Tehran do?
Oh, absolutely. Immediately. They called it a violation of international law, pretty much said diplomacy was, quote, off the table,
Yeah.
and they asserted their right to reserve all options for self-defense. Within hours, you had missiles flying, a two-volley barrage aimed at Israel. Reports mentioned multiple locations near Ben Gurion Airport, Tel Aviv, Haifa, the Golan Heights. At least 20 wounded reported initially.
Missile strikes on Israel almost immediately after the U.S. strike.
Yes. Though it's interesting, regional authorities and the IAEA, that's the UN's nuclear watchdog, they confirmed no detectable radiation increase around the Iranian sites hit by the U.S., which suggests the American strikes were incredibly precise, hitting the infrastructure, the capability, without causing a wider environmental disaster, thankfully.
Okay, so extremely precise U.S. strikes met instantly with Iranian missiles hitting Israel. The global reaction must have been intense apprehension, right? How did the world respond?
Intense is probably an understatement. You look at the broader picture, and the reactions really show how fragile things are. Israel, as you'd expect, praised the operation, saw it as necessary. But elsewhere, extreme caution. The UN Secretary-General Guterres warned of catastrophic consequences, demanding everyone step back.
De-escalation calls immediately.
Immediately. The UK supported the strike, but stressed, getting back to talks right away. Huge anxiety internationally. France, the EU, grave concern, urging restraint. Pakistan flat out accused the US of violating the UN Charter. And Turkey's warning. That's significant. A major regional power, a NATO member, warning about wider destabilization. It really highlights how quickly this could spiral, The path to a much bigger conflict seems suddenly quite open.
Right. The world's really holding its breath. Given that tension, what happens next?
Right.
Iran back at Israel, but U.S. forces are all over the region, too.
Well, given that this was such a direct, unprecedented U.S. strike on Iranian soil, specifically targeting their nuclear program, further retaliation from Iran is widely expected. I mean, it seems very likely. This could mean targeting U.S. assets directly, maybe naval forces in Bahrain, other bases, or potentially acting through their regional allies, their proxies.
So more strikes are possible.
It's certainly a strong possibility. You're already seeing the impact of global markets are jittery, airlines rerouting. There's huge uncertainty over oil supplies, regional security. There's an emergency UN Security Council session called. Diplomatic channels are working overtime trying to contain this. But the very real risk of this escalating into a broader regional war, or potentially, yes, even a global conflict, it makes finding an off-ramp incredibly urgent. Preventing more tit-for-tat is critical.
Yeah. The calls for de-escalation are loud, but the situation feels incredibly tense, incredibly uncertain. We've gone from shadow conflicts to direct U.S. strikes on Iran, followed by direct Iranian strikes on Israel. This isn't posturing anymore. It feels like a direct confrontation is underway. So as diplomats scramble, you have to ask yourself, in a world that can escalate this fast, what real options are left to pull things back from the brink? And what's the real cost if someone miscalculates now with global powers directly involved? Something to think about.